Just minutes ago, ABC News learned the ODU shooting suspect is believed to be a former Army National Guard member. Mohamed Jalloh was convicted 10 years ago of attempting to provide material support to ISIS.
Jalloh is suspected of killing one person and injuring two others on campus this morning. Sources say he walked into a room and asked if it was an ROTC class, and when someone answered yes, he shot the instructor several times.
FBI Director Kash Patel says a group of brave students subdued the gunman, and the FBI is now investigating the shooting as an act of terrorism. We have crews who have been covering all angles of this since the first reports of the shooting just before 11 a.m. And Director Lytle begins our coverage. And Derek, we just heard from some top officials, and there were a lot of emotional responses.
You know, that room, that press conference room was super heavy, that emotion. You know, it was just less than 2 weeks I sat on this campus and talked to two PhD students who left Iran to flee conflict and come here for a new life and get their degrees. Less than 2 weeks later, we now have a shooting leaving a person dead here on campus. I talked with the police chief of ODU. He was distraught, almost at tears, when I asked him, how do you look a student in the eye and say they're going to be okay moving forward? It's a conversation. He told me that his student, his child, is 3 hours, 11 minutes, and 30 seconds too far, too away at college himself. It's just an emotional day here at Old Dominion University. A shooter opening fire at Constant Hall on ODU's campus, leaving 3 people hurt, including 2 ROTC members. One person that was rushed to the hospital has died. The shooter found dead by police on scene.
In a cynical world of violence, how do you look at a student in the face moving forward and say that we can provide you safety and make sure that you can get the education without the fear of the violence that we've seen today?
You know, I get this question a lot, especially from parents. And I'm a parent of college children. I certainly understand that.
An emotional ODU chief of police, Garrett Shelton, reflecting on the safety of students moving forward, saying he and his department lay their lives on the line for their students, and they are devastated by this shooting.
Every one of these kids are my kids. And I treat them the same way and protect them the same way as I would my own children that are away at college.
Derek, if you don't mind, I'd like to follow up on your question.
Norfolk Commonwealth's attorney Ramin Fadahi adding to this conversation, he believes this shooting came from a dark place.
This is not an ODU problem. This is a national sickness.
He says he believes violence due to guns will continue to happen at the expense of young people's lives.
And they care more about guns than they do about college students. What that means is that it does not matter how hard President Pempill works, how hard the chiefs work, somebody will be a victim eventually.
He believes it is the fault of lawmakers not pushing for more gun control he calls necessary.
If you're looking for somebody to blame, don't look at anybody up here. Look at our lawmakers who don't have the courage to implement sensible gun control measures. Look to a Supreme Court that enables them, and do something about it.
Now, the president of the university saying this is a devastating day for campus. It will never be forgotten, offering his condolences and prayers, my prayers included, for everyone affected by this tragedy. Live in Norfolk, Derek Lytle, 13 News Now.
All right, Derek, thank you so much for that report. And Madison Schlegel continues our team coverage from ODU now. And Madison, you've been talking to students.
Yeah, Janet, that's right. We spoke to a couple students this morning after we got that first initial alert from ODU. Right now, we're at the intersection of 45th Street and also Hampton Boulevard. And you can see right now there are cars that are whizzing by here on Hampton Boulevard. But when we got here earlier this afternoon, that street was completely closed down. So the traffic like this, the typical traffic that you see, was completely shut down to people. And that didn't open up until a little bit before 2 this afternoon. So we were talking to those students, and right now just the overarching theme that we've gotten is that they're looking out for each other right now. We've got those students putting their arms around each other. We saw students hugging each other. We saw students in tears, truly, that were just shaken up over today's scenario. And hearing some of those moments, it really does make you stick with it. Those students tell us that you hear stories about shootings that happen at schools or on college campuses. And sometimes it feels like it might be a distant worlds away. But in instances like today, that was a very, very real for students here at Old Dominion University. But here's a little bit of a listen of what those students told us about what was happening in those moments as they were evacuating Constant Hall.
It was just normal class, and then suddenly there was kind of a thud, and then a tons of running down the hallway and screaming. And then the fire alarm went off, and then it was just a bunch of movement, and it kind of felt like a fire drill. And then we got outside and someone yelled that it was an active shooter.
The person who actually works in the office, God bless that guy, he came through and grabbed us and said, come in here right now, like, you know, something's going on. He walked around to make sure everybody was in the room, and he closed the door. And there were about 6 of us in that room. And so we were all just sitting there waiting, and eventually the police came through and they escorted us out and told us to get out.
And so you heard those words right there that student said, thank God that faculty member stopped us and pulled us into their office. But that seems to be the resounding thing that we're getting from these students. They're just thankful and grateful for the quick response from not only local, but federal agents that responded to the scene here at ODU. Live in Norfolk, Madison Schlegel, 13 News Now.
All right, Madison, thank you. You have some really impressive students there on that campus. And many students from Norfolk high schools were on ODU's campus for a tour. They are all accounted for and safe. 3 nearby schools were impacted by the active shooter response. Larchmont Elementary, James Monroe Elementary, and W.H. Taylor Elementary all went on a secure hold earlier today. School division officials say planned after-school activities are going on as planned.
We've been hearing from state officials monitoring the situation at ODU. Governor Abigail Spanberger issued a statement earlier saying, quote, I have spoken with university leadership. My administration remains in close contact with local emergency responders as state support is being mobilized to assist ODU and Norfolk. We first broke this story on Live Impact News. You can watch our coverage from the moment we learned of the shooting through the all clear. It's streaming now on 13 News Now Plus. Download on your TV to get live breaking updates for free.